Hello, I'm Ryan S. Gallick.
And I'm Michael L. Stahl, and we're co-founders of the Mental Hygiene Project.
In this program, we're going to talk about how to achieve what we call healthy leadership in an organization. We will introduce our wheel of influence to you and explain what the areas mean for you as a leader and for your organization as a whole. To be clear, every organization has both formal and informal leaders. This means that, of course, there are people that have the title manager or supervisor, and then there are also people who, while they do not have that title, can still have a high level of what we call personal power or influence within the organization.
We're going to explain how to define a culture of healthy leadership at all levels in an organization, as opposed to defaulting to a culture where mental health and total wellness are minimized. Choosing to build a culture of healthy leadership can inspire employees to have purpose, longevity, and belonging that ultimately can have a positive impact on business results, commitment, and performance.
Let's take a look at the Mental Hygiene Project Wheel of Influence. You can see that on the outside of the circle, this is where you are defining a culture of healthy leadership. The closer the leader would be to the middle in each respective area is where an organization would be defaulting to a negative culture that does not value or focus on mental, emotional, or physical wellness of any kind.
As you continue to look at the wheel, you can see that there are 3 areas, and each one of the sections have 3 subcategories or pieces of pie within each area. Starting with self on the blue area of the wheel, you have the categories of values, emotional intelligence, and authenticity. Going down to the others relationships part of the wheel, you see that the 3 categories are trust, vulnerability, respect, and compassion. Finally, the deep purple piece of the wheel that encompasses team work environment is made up of learning, responsible collaboration, and strategic resilience.
These are all important aspects of healthy leadership. All of these elements are an integral part of self-development as a leader. This leads to having the ability to constructively deal with others and have positive relationships. Then that allows the organization as a whole to be able to function as a team with a truly healthy work environment focused on both wellness and results. Better wellness leads to improved results in every area of the business.
When we say healthy leadership, we mean having a leadership style that focuses on the health and well-being of all members of the organization. Healthy leaders explicitly consider and support employee health, which leads to better stress management, allowing people to truly feel like they are a part of something larger than themselves, and a culture that fosters good health as an important piece to organizational growth and success on all levels.
So let's start breaking down each area and having some deeper discussion about how each category influences the healthy leadership of the organization and defines a culture. We have to begin with self because that builds a leader's capacity to influence others and relationships, which then provides the foundation to affect positive change and define a culture within the team and the overall work environment. We can start with values. A value is a deeply held belief or sense of purpose that leads to attitudes, behaviors, and ultimately consequences in all life circumstances. The values that you choose to live by define who you are, how you act and react to situations, and how you influence others as a leader. As a leader, your values will influence those around you and the entire culture of the organization. Yet, many people never actually think about their own personal values and why they make the decisions they do for both work and their personal life. We have provided a long list of values available at our website at this address, mentalhygieneproject.com/values. We encourage you to go there and take some time to digest what values are most important to you. Start with the top 10 and then narrow that down to only 5, and then finally pick 3 that you feel are most important to you. Rank those in order from what you feel are most important to least. Obviously, by the time that you get to the core driving final 3 values, they are all extremely important. Yet take the time and put the thought into actually ranking which ones are the most important to you and have an explicit hierarchy. This, in turn, is how you make decisions for your life. Once you understand these values, it provides a level of clarity into how you act and react and why you have certain attitudes which lead to various behaviors. As decision guides in tough situations, once you have come to an understanding of what your values are and you have put them into a hierarchy, it provides a baseline for understanding life situations and clarity on how to make decisions. Emotional intelligence is the next category on the wheel of influence and is one of the most profound aspects of either the success or failure for any person, no matter what industry you may work in for your career. It has been determined through research that even the most technical fields, a person's ultimate career success is only based on 15% technical knowledge. 85% of a person's career advancement and satisfaction is based on human relations, communication, and the ability to lead people. All of these things fall into the category of emotional intelligence, which is defined by a person's self-awareness and self-management of emotions, as well as an individual's social awareness and relationship management. As a leader, people want to know that you understand and can relate to them as human beings, not just as numbers or pieces of the machine. Ironically, some of the most learned and technical advanced leaders miss this incredibly important point about emotional intelligence.
Many years ago, I was called in to do some executive coaching with a vice president level leader in a company. He was described as a technical genius, and yet his emotional intelligence and ability to relate to his team on a human level was extremely low. When he went on a business trip, every member of his team went to human resources and said they had their resumes out and were leaving the company because he was the worst leader they had ever had. The director of HR told me that they obviously could not have an entire department leave the company because the recruitment, hiring, onboarding, and training costs would be astronomical and would set the work back for months as well. She also explained that since the VP was a technical prodigy, they needed to have him in the company. When I first met him, he very calmly said to me, "I just want you to know that I think what you do has absolutely no value." I said, "Okay, that's fair. Let's start with a behavioral traits assessment and an hour debrief with me. If you still think there is no value, I will discuss this with the director of HR and make sure you don't have to do this coaching." He agreed. So we began with a behavioral traits profile that defined he was dogmatic, blunt, self-centered, and harsh with other people. Since he was impressed with the clinical nature of the assessment, he agreed to move forward. The good news is that emotional intelligence can be learned and improved upon. After 2 months of coaching on his behavioral traits and overall emotional intelligence, in our last meeting, he got emotional. He said, "You know, I've thought of myself as a pretty intelligent person, yet I never knew how negatively I was affecting other people, and I never even gave a second thought about emotional intelligence, much less thought about improving it. You've literally changed my life in a positive way." He started to actually listen to other people with respect, even if he did not agree with their opinion. He became more diplomatic with his communication, so people were more responsive to his messaging. He started to actively help other people, even when he didn't have to, instead of only thinking about and being focused on what he had to get done or what was important to him. The manager with the high IQ also began to develop a genuine warmth and empathy for others as well, even in situations where performance management might have been involved. His level of compassion communicated that he actually cared about the people on his team. All in all, his emotional intelligence quotient, EQ for short, grew to rival his impressive IQ. Interestingly enough, all of the people who said they were leaving the company because he was the worst manager they'd ever had said that he had changed into the best leader they ever worked for in any company. All of this was due to the positive change in behavioral trait balance and an improvement in emotional intelligence to be able to relate to people on a human level and create commitment instead of just compliance. When anyone, most especially leaders, can identify and manage their own emotions and recognize and manage the emotions of others that they encounter at work and in life, this creates a healthy leader who cares about the mental health and overall wellness of all their team members.
Dr. Daniel Goleman said, "What really matters for success, character, happiness, and lifelong achievements is a definite set of emotional skills, your EQ, not just purely cognitive abilities that are measured by conventional IQ tests." Remember this as you engage in your leadership journey, both at work and in life.